What's going on, guys? Matt over here with Lethal Garage, and today is cam install day. New cam, more power, 38% lobe, awesome stuff, and I'm gonna do it with the help of a master mechanic, making sure I don't screw it up. But it's gonna be a little bit different. So this isn't like a complete cam install because I've already installed the cam. We've already ripped out the active fuel management. We already put valley cut. We already did all of that. So this is really just sliding the new cam in, making sure we don't drop something to the bottom of the oil pan with the valves, all that greatness. Lifters. That was the word I was looking for. And it's gonna be good. So, and the other side of it is proving that you can swap the cam in this car without pulling the motor. There's a lot of shops across the country that are charging you guys retarded amounts of money to replace a cam because they're pulling the motor. They're being lazy. So we'll at least show you how to do that. But unfortunately, it won't be the full process. It's just taking the cam out that I have in there, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it outside it doesn't have the big fuel load, because when I originally spec'd out this car, we were never going for 900 horsepower. Now we are, we're gonna get there. And we just gotta put the proper cam. Has a little bit taller intake. It is set for the whipple, and we're moving the torque band up a little bit in the power curve so we can launch the car better. That's a lot of words, let's go do it. Step one, take off the entire front end of your car. So if you guys didn't know, I have 1.5 million guides showing you how to do this. I'm just gonna take it off and we'll come to the next step. As you know, I have the ZL1 add-ons front end, so there's a couple extra bolts I have to remove. But yeah, we do have to take off the front fascia of the car. It takes about 15 minutes. Front end taken off. Now we're gonna remove the upper bumper support, I guess is what we'll call this. I don't know the technical name. As you guys know, I have the Fast Tech plate covers. We're gonna do the lower support. Then we're gonna drain all the fluids. So we're gonna drain supercharger, we're gonna drain coolant, because we are gonna do Mishimoto install. I believe you have to drain that anyways. And we're gonna change the oil. So we're gonna take all the oil out of it. That's next, let's do it. So, front of the car, it's falling apart. And upper area, so Mike jumped in and pulled the intake and he got the belt off and all that stuff. But now we're taking the lid off, supercharger, we're gonna be pulling that off for many reasons. Have to do it for the cam and to get to the new fuel pump. So all that has to happen. I do have a camera that's gonna be capturing a time lapse of that. So yes, it will be pretty. In preparation to getting down to the cam, we've removed the blower, we got everything off. Now again, as I highlighted at the beginning of this video, we don't have to take everything off because I've already done the cam, or well, Cunningham did the cam work. They pulled the AFM, they did all that stuff. So we don't have to pull everything. We're literally sliding the old cam out, putting the new cam in. There's a couple tricks to share with you, courtesy of Bowtiebritches, but it will be good stuff. So we're gonna get to that here in a minute. We're gonna keep tearing down. We'll go to the above cam and time lapse through this.
Sometimes a little trick with these is you can't get these out. So you actually need one of these little 90-degree hooks like this. They come out from the back side.
Is it like that on the stock setup too?
And basically what you're doing is you're just kicking getting this and kicking the clip up underneath, and it slides off. That way you don't break the connector or the little pin side on this.
Is that a K-Tech thing though, or is that like that on the stock setup too?
This is all for factory sensors. It's the same thing with the EVAP as well.
Fun.
Yep. But it's just one of those tricks to keep you from breaking.
Mechanic Mike giving us epic stuff. So if you're wondering, this is actually your fuel rail and your injectors nicely attached all across. So I do have the fuel injector injectors in here. They are the high flow LT4 setup. Link down in the description if you guys are interested. But yeah, they flow about 40% better. We're expecting 820, 830 range of power out of it with the pump and everything. Maybe more if we're lucky, who knows. We do need to change some pulleys. Got to get the 9.1 and the 3.5 upper. But yeah, what are you about to do?
I'm gonna pull this line off.
Oh, okay. So he's disconnected the main lines that are basically priming the rails. So that high side pump that we're replacing, that's its primary job, is keep that fuel pressure on the rails consistent. And that's why the power right now, that's why we're swapping this out to get the bigger fuel lobe and the bigger bore pump, because we're at the point where we can't keep any more pressure in the fuel lines. So we're getting the bigger pump to make that happen. So at this point, we took the stupid black valve cover off.
Why are you being upset when you gotta call it stupid? Huh? What did they do to you?
It's a valve cover.
No, it's being a bully.
That is.
It's a coil pack cover.
Yeah, whatever. So now we are taking off the valve covers.
I'm wondering if they're dragging slightly too, just from that.
Huh.
So next up, is it loosening up the condenser lines? Is that basically what it is? We're not taking them off.
Okay, so basically there's a bolt down here and a bolt here. They're both 10 millimeters, and this basically loosens up the fan.
Okay.
And then there's another bolt over here in this corner that holds this line to this plastic piece here, and you have to pull that bolt out.
Mike got crazy and pulled stuff out. We got the fan out already. They get all sorts of room. We don't need a fan. But the next thing is, I'm not going to say pull out the radiator because that's not a true statement. The way Mike described it was very intense, but basically you can't just pull it out. So we're going to do some jigging, and getting it out of the car.
Did you say jigging?
Yeah, I said jigging. It's not even a word. I'm making stuff up in this video.
We're going to get a jiggy with it?
Will Smith is coming.
We're getting jiggy with it.
So yes, Raider's coming out. We'll go to time lapse. It's gonna be goodness, maybe, I don't know. Okay, so I just connected the few remaining tubes into the primary radiator. We're leaving that one connected down over there because it's just one big piece right there. Mike is going ahead and pulled the lines from the quick disconnect in the back. You can see them right there, and there's the water pump right here. So we're going to be pulling that all off to make lots of room, and those are those C-clips, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. You just basically just pull these out, and they sit into these retainers, and then as soon as you pull them out, just clip them back in.
Because then when you plug it in, it just goes.
Because they're beveled.
Yep. So makes it easier to pull out in Mike's. Mike had a longer definition, but I'll just go with that. We're gonna remove the Whipple pulley mount because there is an oil line that we need to swivel out of the way to get the timing cover off. The radiator is pulled as much as it needs to be pulled. Gives us enough wiggle room and pull to get a tool in there, and also to pull to the side to get the camshaft slid in and out. So that's about it. As you can see, this is what you do instead of pulling all of that. Yeah. So at this point, we are pulling the balancer. We do have an ATI pull on there now. If you just have the factory one, you're gonna need a different puller for the factory, but in this instance, I have the ATI balancer. So we got it hooked up, and this is gonna pull this off. And basically what it does is it applies pressure and just bloop, pulls it off. If you haven't seen a puller, you'll see it in slow motion right here. Okay, so Mike's gonna unplug this Epic connector right down below. And what does this connector plug into, Mike?
This connector plugs into the wiring harness that connects the cam position sensor, the actuator for the variable valve timing, and the actuator for the oil pump control.
Oil pump bolts.
So then, come in here. We gotta get behind all this stuff here. And just kind of move this out. Just like that. Nice and easy. Come in here. We're gonna compress that spring-loaded deal. Stick a small Allen head through it, and now you got slack in the timing chain.
Okay.
So now we're gonna pull this bolt out of here and get the top. 24 millimeter. Hopefully it fits.
Yeah,
Barely.
all the way out.
It's only cam timing. Not that big of a deal.
It's only the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, interference motor, right?
Boy.
So what we're doing is we're taking the chain off the sprockets, and it makes me nervous. Mike's done this 1,000 times, so I'm not so nervous. This is why Mike is standing over my shoulder, making sure I don't totally screw this up.
What are you talking about? I was just here to do trees.
And Mike's actually a gardener. He's just trying this out for the first time.
Yeah. We do this on the lawnmowers all the time.
There's a lot of bending in the screwdrivers. Oh, there we go.
He's off on the lower part. And I guess once you just get it started, right, it just...
One at a time. It's just figuring out which one wants to go first. And then
once you're over the crest, then it's just...
It just all comes off.
It's a patience game. If you're mad and frustrated when you start this, it's never gonna work out.
Wow, that was awesome.
So, there's the timing mark we were talking about earlier.
Oh, sweet.
The one with the arrow, and that has to be pointed at the crankshaft.
And that's when you put it back on.
And that's exactly how you
So
put
you're
it back
making
on.
sure that's all lined up, straight up and down, along even with this, which is pointing towards.
Exactly. And then before you pull your camshaft out, you want to make sure you pay attention to where your dowel is, and when you put the camshaft back in, make sure that dowel's in the exact same spot. You can't go wrong trying to load it back up.
Sweet. Points of interest from Bowtiebritches. That is, I know this isn't rocket science, some of you non-internet mechanics out there, but for me, this is the first time I've ever done it, so it's a huge learning lesson for me, and it's humbling to see what you guys go through and like the stuff you have to remember to dial this stuff in, because if you don't get it right, putting it back together, not fun. Not fun.
Nothing like doing it twice. These here, I'm gonna do these because these might be. Sometimes these can be a real pain. So, because if you're doing this with an impact, if you're not pressing into them,
you can strip them.
You can strip them because basically the Torx bit will try to kick out of it. And then with it being lubed like it is, it makes it even worse. There's that one.
Always the last one. Always the
Oh,
last.
did like skip for a split second there.
Uh-huh.
Not that many parts laying around.
It's actually not that bad.
Well, considering we didn't have to pull the heads and all that stuff, yeah. So this is the trick.
You're gonna slide these right down through here.
5/16 inch wooden dowels. And Mike, you want to explain to them why we're doing this?
Basically, these go on the side of the lifter and they create a friction. So when you go through and you turn the camshaft, it pushes all the lifters up, gets them out of the way, so you can just pull your camshaft out without worrying about a lifter sliding by one of them and dropping in your oil pan.
Is that actually why that's there?
Yes.
Is there some special?
Oh no, that's actually an oil galley that I just slid that through.
Oh, okay.
So you always want to make sure that those are clean. If you're sliding dirty ones in, you might cause some issues later on.
Hey look guys, you didn't have to pull the motor to pull the cam out.
And the cam's out.
So I guess Mike was pulling the cam out. You being the first time, he wants to be safe than sorry. How's it look?
It's actually not in really bad shape. It's actually in pretty good shape.
So this cam has 12,000 miles on it.
Yep.
It was originally spec'd for my Pro Charger, and using AMSOIL Z-Rod.
Yeah, it's actually been doing a very good job of actually keeping it protected. At 12,000 miles, I've seen way worse than this.
Cam out! So I'm using a screwdriver and trying not to press against the flat area just to get the silicone off. There's a nice big chunk sitting right in here and it's slowly coming. You can probably get a hold of it now. There, nice big chunk right there.
And you're gonna slather oil all over this thing as you go in. So you go ahead and put some oil on that first. Yep, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. One at a time. Now clean yourself up.
So
He just gave birth.
that was kind of satisfying in a way. I don't know why, but
Yeah, it is.
I put my new camshaft in.
There you go.
I do smell funny. I smell really funny right now. Okay, well, as you guys saw, we just put the new camshaft in. We're gonna be putting everything together, so it's really putting the cover, the sprocket on, getting the timing chain back in. We're gonna pull these wooden dowels. Actually, we can do that now. So that process is over. Thank you, wooden dowels. You served me well. So you do want to make sure your why am I forgetting words? Gasket. There you go.
What
Yeah.
gasket? Good Lord.
Anyways, yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on. Cam position actual cylinder valve. Nope. Cam position sensor. Nope. Nope. Cam retainer bolts, Torx head bolts. Is that it?
What is it?
Camshaft retainer bolts.
Torx.
15 Newton meters, 11 foot-pounds.
Uh-huh.
Or 11 pounds a foot. I always say that backwards. I'm looking at it and I say it backwards. I'm sweating right now. So, I got this beautiful sheet. If you guys follow me on Instagram at all, lethal_Camaro. I posted this. Thanks Cunningham Motorsports and Bowtiebritches for getting this to me. Because this saves your life in knowing how to torque. Because you're messing with stuff that is life or death or make your motor fall apart. You want to make sure you put all the bolts in appropriately. So the bolts on this front cover plate holding it in, 11 pounds foot, or if you want to get specific, fit 15 Newton meters.
11 foot-pound.
Well, it says pound foot here.
Stop it.
It literally, camera,
Stop it.
11 pound foot. Am I wrong there? I've threaded the bolts in by hand, get them started. You definitely don't want to strip these. That would not be cool.
Yep, no fun.
And then we'll hand tighten these in place once I get the right tool. Is this set? I just blindly took it from you.
Of course I said it for you.
Oh. So some of you guys are wondering, what about your phase kit or phaser kit and stuff? Well, we eliminated that. Typically you remove these bolts to put that on, but we actually have a lockout in there. You'll see this is just a hunk of metal that locks it out so you don't need the phaser kit. This is freaking retarded expensive. A lot of companies sell these, they're really expensive. So maybe we should like start Lethal Garage selling these, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, we're gonna put this bad boy on, get the sprocket back on. The biggest thing is lining it all back up. Remember we showed you the arrow? And it's underneath this finger over here. I do. Well, I was looking for where this piece was, so you can see the arrow, everything lining up. And it also lines up because, see the little hole here? That's where the pin goes in. You can see the pin right here on the cam. Now, I have no idea how we're putting the chain on here, and Mike's gonna teach me because I really don't know. First timer, novice. Is this gonna be hard? Sweet.
Okay, so there's your 2 screwdrivers. You're gonna need those.
Yes.
So basically, the technique that we use here
We're reversing it.
is
Yes.
basically you gotta get the chain kind of pulled up. You see it catches right there?
Yeah.
Well, it's not on. So
It's not on the bottom.
it's not on the bottom. So you're gonna kind of feel your way out there. And then as you bring this thing in, you kind of pull it like that. Crush your finger in there. And then what you're gonna do,
I like
you're
how he's doing it.
gonna kind of mock it up
Yep.
to make sure that the marks are all done.
Yep. You can leave it just like that where
Uh-huh.
it gets about. Damn it!
You're not learning anything.
Ah! What a jerk. I saw that. So how do you know if you're on? Down low.
All right, so basically it's gonna be about how far you pull the chain up,
Okay.
and then try to rotate the chain. Pull it either way, and it doesn't move, you're on. You're fine.
That still makes me nervous.
That screwdriver's nowhere near small enough to get in there.
Okay. So,
Make sure you're paying attention where your tiny mark is.
You just adjust it like a tooth at a time, basically.
Well, that first time I just set it, just mocking it up like that, it was dead
down.
on.
Because it's Mike. Everything's perfect.
Beginner's luck for Mike, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've done this on a lawnmower too. My landscaping company.
So,
One at a time. Are you lined up?
I think I am.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Am I good?
Yeah, go for it. You're right on. Don't even worry about that, right? Come on, let's just get this thing on.
Just
Mess around, you're gonna lose where you got.
How do you get that?
It's gonna be it's kind of a 2 screwdriver deal.
No. Come on, Sensei.
Okay.
So, one down low.
Just kind of pull this stuff over this way. And then back over here, you see where it's tucked down behind
Yeah,
there?
okay, so that's where I'm pulling
And
it on.
then you're gonna
Get
pull
it
that
up
up.
and over.
And then probably take the bigger screwdriver and kind of there, and then chase it with the smaller screwdriver.
Is there actually a tool made for this, or is this how it's just
This is completely stuff that I've made up.
Okay.
That I do on the cars.
So you're saying start this. This is like impossible. This is what... Oh, suck.
That brings me pleasure.
There's a little smaller one that'll help. Yep. That's it.
This is one of those like.
Did that look like it's in?
I'll bring it over this way.
This is one of those where you
Start pulling it around.
you just don't have the feel of what's too hard to pry on.
Yeah, that's kind of what has me nervous.
Uh-huh.
And the other. Oh,
There you
yeah.
go.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. No. Pull it up. Make sure check your mark again. Make sure you're on point. Get lined up.
It looks like it might be like a quarter sprocket off.
Let me see. Oh, no, you're perfect.
I lined it up perfect the first time. I love that he showed me how to do it, and then he ripped it off, and it was like, now it's your turn. Oh. So how do we know if it's lined up perfect for that pin that's sticking out?
There's a couple different methods you could use here. You can use a mirror and look at it from the back side. There's obviously I've developed a feel for it by doing so many of them. But for the most part, as long as you did your due diligence and kind of paid attention to where everything was when you took it apart and put that dowel pin right back in the
Well,
same
I
exact
put it
spot.
back where I thought it was at.
Exactly, and then kind of put it back together that way. I've even used the magic marker a couple of times to kind of mark where that thing was and put it back together that way.
Okay. So lining it all up, it's like it wants to be there. It was there. I think that's on. I think so. It's on. What'd you do? Hey, what? Where'd you go? Is this the new one?
And you're dragging your feet on it. Which makes it worse.
I can't really. How do you know if this is actually threading in nicely? It kind of has like a tight feel. I guess if you wiggle it.
One of the chains pulling it down too.
Yeah.
so.
No, I felt like I picked it up a little bit, and you can feel it like it was like there was weight pulling down on it. But once I wiggled it a little bit, it felt like I was worried it was cross threading. I guess I can't cross thread with my puny strength.
And then for this one here, what I like to do is you have everything put together right now. And it's just kind of preliminary torque. It should be on the dowel pin. This is holding the crank sprocket, the cam sprocket
So
to
it's
the
not falling
camshaft.
out.
Nothing's going to fall off that way. We still have the tension taken off the dampener piece. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this and basically spin it around. And what I'm looking for right here is basically to make sure that the cam gear is running true. Make sure it's not canted either way, and make sure we're not going to break anything. And then we're going to spin it all the way around and check our timing mark again. Now, when we do all this, the reason why we're doing all this is because we want to make sure that we're seated on the dowel pin properly. If we're not seated on the dowel pin, we're going to have all kinds of issues, especially if you go to start the motor. And you
It's
can
just gonna
imagine,
fly apart.
you could imagine 1,000 RPM. This thing's just going to snap that
Chain.
the timing chain completely off of it. But this makes sure that everything's seated nicely.
You don't see no wobbles.
Yep.
Is that air you're hearing push out?
Yep. The DI injectors are out of it, so it's basically the piston coming up and pushing air out of it. There. and you're all set and ready to torque. Ooga-dooga that one.
There's at least 8 ooga-doogas.
Oh yeah. And then we're gonna pull this guy back out. Now, we're gonna get this socket here.
You look tired.
No, I'm just
In
more.
pain.
No, I'm not in pain. I'm in zero pain right now. I'm in awe of how Mike does this every single day.
Ow.
And it literally is almost.
And then he's like raring to go with energy still when he gets home. I've done less than half of the work.
You've done more than that. Give yourself some credit here. All right. So this one here is going to go to 49 foot-pounds. And now
Do we need to hold the lower one or no?
That's what I'm getting ready to do.
Oh.
Slow down there, Hoss.
I was like, did him tightening that bolt make it to where we don't have to hold it? No, that's not how that works.
Then the engine isn't turning.
It's seized.
That's not how it works. So here, an extra set of hands usually comes in handy. Now you're going to go to 49 foot-pounds.
Did you get that?
I did.
Oh my God. Okay, good. That booga booga got it the first time.
the ooga booga.
We're tight enough.
Okay.
See, Mike did mention that he's used to tightening all these bolts by feel. He felt that one just right.
If you went from here, from the 12 o'clock to the 3 o'clock position, that would be 90 degrees, right?
Yes.
Well, we can't do that inside the car.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to make a pretty accurate guesstimate.
So from about there to
Yeah.
about there.
From head to head.
Yeah, we'll go from about the 10:30 to the 1:30 position.
Okay.
And this is a 90-degree V8, by the way.
Am I just pulling?
Yep.
Stretching the bolt.
Okay.
All right, we'll call it there.
You sure?
We're going to call it there. If that thing comes out, I'll be damned. It looked like you were pulling on it pretty hard.
Yeah.
But then again, here, you hold this side, let me get this.
He didn't trust it.
Well, that's about 45 there, right?
Yep. I'm not going any tighter than that.
So I did okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes you
There's an extra couple of beads of sweat. More from nervousness than actual anything else.
smear it across there. You obviously don't want to get real thin with it. And you don't want to make a great big mess out of it. So there. Now that I've done the easy part, there you go.
The most accessible part of the cover.
Uh-huh. Watch the front main against that bolt.
Which bolt? Oh, that bolt.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel?
That felt terrible. At this point, we are heating up the balancer to make the metal expand so it slides on easier. just slides on. And a little mallet for the hell of it.
I like to get on to where at least get about 2 threads into it.
Yep.
Sweet. That was easy.
Yeah.
I was hoping for an injury or something. So.
Ah! As you can see, we got the water pump on, we got the bracket, we got the radiator and fan back in place. Got the rocker arms and lifters all back in, like everything's coming back together. We're putting the valve covers back on. You got your coil packs here, hook them back up, and all that greatness. So that's where we're at. We're gonna keep grinding and get this beast back together again. So I guess fuel pump will be next, and we'll do a more detailed shot of that here shortly. Let's install this bad boy. Michael's son. Hey Mike, are we good? Can we start it?
100%.
Nerve-wracking. Hey, first camp car starts on the first time. Yeah, well, there you guys have it. That's it. The car is back together. First start, car just came together really nice. Started up nice, everything sounds good. Now it's time to go down, get this bad boy tuned where she should be at, and let's get 800 plus horsepower on the Cunningham Motorsports dyno. Depending where it's at, if we get into the 840, 50, 30s, I don't even know where it's gonna be. I'm gonna go to a dyno jet because that's where everyone likes to show off numbers. And maybe we could be 900 club. Who knows? We'll see what happens. We're gonna get it dialed in, all that stuff. It's gonna be happening this week, so stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching this crazy guide. It's been crazy. As always, just thanks for being a part of all of this crazy journey. If you guys have questions, post them down below. If not, subscribe. Would love to have you a part of the Lethal family. And until next time, and until another late night on a Sunday night, Mike chose this night. He's like, let's do Sunday. I hope to see you guys on the road.